Money and politics. Well, it's talked about all the time, but when it comes to financial figures, the candidates have a lot to say. But is it always on the money? Joining us now is Jackie Guzda. She's a campaign media analyst, and she's here to make sense of some of these numbers. And we're talking about some enormous numbers, Jackie. And is that why so many people are so confused? I mean, it's a lot to deal with. How do you make sense of this?
Sense? Is there any sense to any of this? You know what I'd like to do today is look at two of these campaign ads, which have a lot to do with a lot of money. We'll break that down, and then I think that if we look at how much they've spent all together, we can find better ways to spend that money.
Well, I was just going to say, if we talk about the numbers, how much has each candidate spent so far?
Well, altogether, it's $500 million so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, let's start off by taking a look at one of those ads. We're going to take a look at the first one and then talk about it.
I'm not in favor of a $5 trillion tax cut. That's not my plan.
The Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center concluded that Mitt Romney's tax plan would cost $4.8 trillion over 10 years.
Why won't Romney level with us about his tax plan, which gives the wealthy huge new tax breaks? Because according to experts, he'd have to raise taxes on the middle class or increase the deficit to pay for it. If we can't trust him here, how could we ever trust him here?
Obviously, that's a pro-Obama ad,
yes.
But are we seeing the candidates rather stretch the truth here? Talk about that first.
Well, this ad itself is extremely deceptive.
Okay.
Right. First of all, they're asking, you know, what is this $5 trillion? Where's this coming from? Well, they broke it down. Romney's saying that he wants to cut taxes 20% across the board. That's number one. Number two, he wants to extend the Bush-era tax cuts. And number three, he wants to he wants to maintain the estate, or he wants to get rid of the estate tax. So that comes out to 4.8, almost 5.
Almost
yeah.
5. Okay, so that's where they're getting that.
Right.
But you're saying it is still a little deceptive, though.
It is deceptive because this ad says you've only got one choice. Either he's got to, and they put a little bit of fear in here, we've got to raise taxes on the middle class or increase the deficit. Now, it's not an either-or situation. Obviously, Romney can do other things if he gets into office. He said time and time and time again, I'm not going to raise taxes on the middle class. Now, he hasn't been specific about how he's going to pay for that. However, you know, and if he did that, that would be terrific. He wouldn't leave himself so open. But what he could do at this point is tell us a little bit more. He's told us he wants to work with Congress.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, I want to take a look at this next ad. This is obviously going to be a pro-Romney ad.
Right.
President Obama says he's creating jobs, but he's really creating debt. The facts are clear. Obama's 4 deficits are the 4 largest in U.S. history. He's adding almost as much debt as all 43 previous presidents combined. And over 30 cents of every dollar Obama spends is borrowed, much of it from countries like China. He's not just wasting money, he's borrowing it and then wasting it.
Now, to be fair to the president on this, he certainly inherited quite a debt himself. He had something like $10.6 trillion.
Right. That's the one thing they did not mention in this ad. I mean, they made 3 terrible accusations against Obama. Number one, that his deficits every year have been the worst deficits for all of time. Now, they don't mention that this $10.6 trillion was his the day he walked into office, the day he was inaugurated. But then, if you take a look at some information they didn't give, that in the years 2010, 2011, he brought it down to 1.3 trillion, and now at 2012, it's only at 1.1 trillion. So going against what they're saying in this ad, he actually lowered the deficit.
He did lower that deficit,
yeah.
which is not mentioned in that ad, as you said.
Right.
Okay, so for the average American right now, we've got 13 days now till Election Day. How do you go about really trying to make sense of this? I mean, what website? I mean, if you go to a website, if it's a pro-Obama website or a pro-Romney website, it's very hard to make sense of these numbers.
Right. Now, if you go to the candidates' websites, you're going to get more factual information than and I'll call it propaganda, what these ads have said. I mean, if you look at that second point where they were going against Obama, they're saying that he accumulated more debt than every president combined. And that's not true, because every president combined accumulated a debt of $10.6 trillion. Now, he has increased the debt 5.6, but that's only half. Where they came up with all the presidents combined, I have no idea, except that sounds great in the ad, and who cares about fact checkers anyway?
Well, isn't 30 cents on the dollar an enormous amount to have borrowed, though?
Right, and that is an accurate statement. However, again, when Obama walked into office, our debt with China was 40 cents on a dollar. He lowered it.
He lowered it. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, 13 days to go. Lots of fact checking to be done by all the voters, so we'll see what happens. And thank you for breaking it down for us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Jackie Guzda, nice.
Check out the best national and international news coverage on EbruToday.com. Watch newscasts, experts on global affairs, and specials. That's 24/7 on EbruToday.com.